All right, so people have been noticing how awesome my kids are. And they're pretty awesome. And yes, you guys are awesome. Shut up. And so someone asked, "What the hell?" So I'm gonna tell you what the hell. This is how you make your kids awesome, or at least how I do it. First, let's talk about how kind of the standard modern way of thinking about parenting goes something like this. You make enough money to get the good daycare, and then you make enough money to get the good school, and then your kids come out amazing, and then you have a beautiful, loving relationship with them. Except by the time your kids are teenagers, they're like, "Who the hell are you? You haven't spent any time with me. I don't know who you are, and you don't know who they are because you didn't spend any time with them." So that's tip number one. Important. It's probably the most important thing. Spend time with your kids. Even if you're screwing up all over the place, it's better to spend time with your kids screwing up than it is to just not spend time with them. Because if you're screwing up with your kids, at least if you're spending time, you're going to start figuring stuff out, you're going to start connecting with them, and you're going to start getting somewhere, right? And kind of going along with that is, if you're doing things that your kids can't be there for, maybe that stuff just isn't worth doing. Getting drunk, partying, doing stupid, dangerous things. You know, I mean, this is just, I'm just giving it to you if you want to have good connection with your kids. I'm not saying you can't go get drunk and do stupid things, but, you know, if you want to connect well with your kids, maybe you should do stuff where your kids can be there. Okay, spend time with your kids. Spend as much time as you can. And part of this is answer all their questions. So when they're little, they're going to ask why. And then you're going to say, because this. And they're going to ask, well, why that? And you have to say this. And they're going to say, why? Answer every frickin' why. And answer it for real. Tell them the truth. Don't lie. Don't sugarcoat. Don't be like, oh, babies come from the store. No, tell them the real answer. Tell them the answers. Excuse my French. Try not to swear in this video. But like, so many parents I know, they don't answer their kids' questions and they lie to their kids. Tell your kids the truth, answer all their questions. It's like the most educational thing you can do for your children. All right, what else? I wrote down a list of junk here. Okay, your kids are your responsibility. They're not anyone else's responsibility. Like, my kids are my responsibility. And people will try to tell you that your kids are not your responsibility. Let me give you a couple examples. Once when my first daughter was a baby, we went to visit some relatives, and the lady's holding my daughter. My daughter's looking at her being like, I don't know who this lady is. I need to get away from her. And she's like reaching for her parents. Oh, sorry, save me. She's like starting to cry, right? So her mom goes to reach and take her from this lady. And this lady's like, no, she needs to get used to strangers. I jumped across the fucking table. I almost tackled this lady, took my daughter, and said, no, if my daughter wants her parents, she gets her parents. This lady was very upset about it. We did not ever visit these relatives again. And this has happened several times. I've almost gotten in fights with relatives who try to say, no, you need to raise your kids the way I think you should do it, not the way you think you should do it. No, if they're your kids, what you think trumps what anyone else thinks. And hopefully you're not a horrible parent. But like, you're the one who has to spend time with them and figure out how it works. You are responsible for them. You decide what happens with your children. Here's another example. This happens all the time, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to relate to this one. So a lot of times grandparents think, oh, I'm going to spoil my grandchildren, and then when they're all crazy, I'm just going to send them back to their parents. And it's funny. It's not funny. It's not funny. If you're someone's grandparents, don't do that. It's not funny. It's funny like on a sitcom or when someone stand-up comedian talks about it. It's not funny in real life. When every time you bring your kids to your grandparents' house, they stuff them full of sugar and just stick them in front of the TV and get them all crazed and then send them back home. Not okay. And if you're their parent, say to those grandparents, say, no, stop doing that. That's not okay. And if they don't accept that, your kids do not have to see their grandparents. And their grandparents might get upset about this. You can't prevent me from seeing my own grandchild. Yeah, I can. You can. You are responsible for your own kids. Like the number of people I've cut out of my children's life is I mean, a lot of people would be like upset about how many people I've cut out of my children's life. But anyway, and I don't regret any of that. There are a lot of people who are not in my kids' life because they were bad influences, and they would not respect when I said, hey, you have to stop doing that. You have to do this differently because this is how I'm raising my kids, and I don't want that to happen. And then you'll find that there are people who will respect that. And those are the people who you want in your kids' lives. And those are the people who end up actually becoming good influences and mattering. So don't let people peer pressure you into raising your kids how you don't think it should be happening or doing a bad job. Okay. Also written down here, I've got no spoiling. Don't spoil your kids. People have this weird idea today about how you're supposed to spoil your kids. Like it's a good thing. Yeah, I'm going to spoil my children so much. Do you want to eat spoiled fruit? Do you want to eat spoiled food? Spoiled stuff. It's called spoiled because it's bad. Do not spoil your children. And people will spoil their kids and then be like, why is my kid such a psychotic brat? I've spoiled them so much. And now they're just little a-holes. I don't understand. Don't spoil your kids. Like, treat them like actual people. Give them honest feedback. Here, I've got this written down. This is a really important one. Give them honest feedback. A lot of people think you can never say anything bad to your kids. Like, don't ever try to don't ever make them feel bad. Oh, you gotta walk on eggshells because their little fragile egos might crumble and then they'll be like, oh my God. No, give your kids real feedback. Treat them like real people. If they did something that sucked, say, well, that kind of sucked, man, but you can do better, and then help them do better. And that's how they learn, because if you give them the fake feedback of, oh, everything you do is marvelous and perfect, they don't learn anything. They'll draw a picture of some garbage, and you say it's perfect, they'll be like, oh, I guess that's good enough. But if you say, yeah, not bad, but I bet you could change this to be better like this, then they learn, they improve, and they get better. That's how they become better people. You got to give honest, real feedback. Don't sugarcoat everything, and don't spoil them, and don't let other people spoil them. Okay, this... And I should also preface all of this by saying that I understand that a lot of people live in cities where everything is expensive and you can't spend time with your kids because both parents are working and stuff. That's a choice you're making, to live in that expensive city. And, I know a lot of people who live in Manhattan make like $200,000 a year, but their living expenses are like $250,000 a year. And I'm always like, why are you doing that? You're dead broke because you're choosing this lifestyle. And they'll say, well, I can't make this kind of money anywhere else. And I'm like, yeah, but if you live in a little town where your living expenses are like $10,000 and you make $20,000, you are way ahead. Oh, you can't make $20,000. That's pathetic and disgusting and ew. I mean, you got to make your choices, and you make your choices and then live with them. But anyway. And I also understand that people are born into certain situations. I was born into. I had to go a very long distance, figuratively and literally, to get to where I am in life. I understand there are difficulties. I'm not saying any of this is easy, but this is what it is. Okay. You got to make your world. You have to make a world like an environment for your kids where they are important. So, again, if you live in a city where they're just always in the way, and they're always a problem, and they're just expensive, they're not important, they're just in the way all the time. Hey, mister, you can't get in this video because you're not wearing a shirt. So if they're in an environment where they're just always in the way, they're never gonna feel like they're useful and anything they do is worth doing. So they're just gonna like screw around. Like it's frustrating. But if you create an environment where your kids are important, where they have useful things to do, where what they do actually matters, then they learn to be helpful and to figure out how to do life. Like they figure out how to do life in ways that matters. And let me give you a few examples of things I do here with my life, and I'm not saying this is the only way to do it, but the way I set up my home here, I don't have water coming into my house. So right here is the sink, and every day or every other day or whenever we feel like it, someone has to go take a jug, go outside to where the water is, and we live in a tropical place. I wouldn't necessarily do this if we lived in like, some place with terrible weather, but it's like always beautiful here. So you go outside right beside the house, fill up a jug of water, come in here, dump it in either the thing that has the filter that people drink out of that one, or there's another thing there just for washing, and that one's not filtered. But to use water, we have to go get it. And kids know that you go get water to use it. And we cook on a wood fire. So that means you go get wood. If you want to eat something, you want to cook something, you got to go get wood and do that. And they learn how to do these things. Because if you grow up in an environment where water is just instant all the time and it's always there and it's just like magic, it's real easy to grow up just taking that for granted. Or you turn the stove on, just blip, or you just punch a button on the microwave and yay, popcorn instantly. Everything is just like it's spoiled. It's coming back to the spoiled thing. Everything is instant and easy and it doesn't make any sense. And yes, somewhere out in the world there are things happening that make all that work, but they're not seeing that. So if you bring that stuff to your home, like actually make it clear where the water's coming from and how it gets to where it needs to go and how the plumbing works and everything, and people actually have to put some kind of effort into using it, then they don't take it for granted. They start learning how the world works. They start realizing that if you just use all the water, then you run out of water. But if you get water and you keep putting it in, then you always have water. It's just like basic economics, not necessarily financial economics. It's just, we're always dealing with basic economics in the world. And people who grow up in situations where everything is instant, you just push a button or turn a knob and you just get everything all the time, they never learn just basic economics of supplies and usage and all this stuff. So, create a world that makes rational sense, where what your kids do actually affects their quality of life. And they also learn to cook and do all this stuff. I always get them to help with things. And that brings me to my last point that I'm going to get into here. I'm sure I could go on for hours. But get your kids involved in things. So just in the daily stuff around your house, and getting your kids involved in making dinner. The first 150 times, it's going to take like 5 times longer than it would if you just did it yourself. Oh, you're going to get some water?
Yeah, because this one's totally.
You're right. This one is totally empty.
Jerry, do you want me to help?
Yes. You want a jug? Go get some water too. So get your kids involved in stuff, and it's going to take longer to do everything with your kids at first, because you have to teach them, and like a 4-year-old rolling out dough for a pizza is like agonizingly slow, and you have to redo it after. But then they learn to do it, and then they actually start becoming useful.
I don't have to roll them out.
And very quickly, it actually happens surprisingly quickly that they start actually becoming useful. Like once they start learning how to do things, like at this point, my kids can just go make dinner, like do the whole thing themselves, or lunch, or whatever, or they take care of the water. Hey, what's up? And then, get them involved in projects. So like I built a bridge with my kids a couple weeks ago. They loved it, and they got to ask a million questions and learn some math and learn about structures and stuff because I get them involved. It's like the best education you can give them is to just get your kids involved in things that are going on in the world. Things that are going on in your life and things that matter. Let me just do this after in a minute. And then also, I guess one more thing is just be a good example. So if you want kids who are going to be in good shape, you be in good shape. If you want kids who are going to be respectful and intelligent, you be those things. Be a good example too. Am I a good example to you guys?
Well, you're Batman, so yeah.
I'm Batman.
Just try to be Batman.
So is that your advice to parents?
Yeah, be Batman.
Just be Batman. Batman didn't have any kids.
No, but he adopted some kids. He had a lot of adopted kids.
Yeah, there are a lot of comments. How many adopted kids? Anyway.
Well, there was first Robin.
Yes, Robin, which he took out and put him in dangerous situations all the time. No, that was...
Okay,
all right. Anyway.
He gave him a cool suit.
He did give him a cool suit, took him on amazing adventures. That is totally true. All right. So that's like scratches the surface of what you need to do to get some good kids. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, that's so much work. But seriously, like the more effort and time you put into your kids, the more fun it is to spend time with your kids. But you have to start with the difficult part, and then it gets better and better as you go. It's really cool that way. All right, I'm getting out of here. Oh, last thing, don't give your kids smartphones. Don't put them in front of screens. Let them play in the world.